Alright folks, this is Harris Sultan and today I'm talking about a huge political shakeup in France. President Emmanuel Macron has made a bold move that has everyone talking. So let's break it down. So Macron has announced that he's dissolving the French National Assembly and calling for snap legislative elections.
Après avoir procédé aux consultations prévues à l'article 12 de notre Constitution, j'ai décidé de vous redonner le choix de notre avenir parlementaire par le vote.
Why? Well, because his allies suffered a crushing defeat to Marine Le Pen's hard-right national rally in the recent European Parliament elections. So why is everyone acting so surprised? We've only been warning everyone that if they continued in the direction they've been going for the last at least 15 years, they'll end up putting everyone towards the hard right. Yes, the hard right, not the far right. And instead of listening to us, you know what they did? They started calling everyone far right. They put decent, everyday people who have been nothing but civilized, welcoming and polite to the idea of controlled immigration, which a lot of people like me benefited from. They've been very welcoming to decent immigrants who would come in, respect the culture and integrate. But their kindness was exploited and taken for granted. Millions of fighting-aged men came under the guise of asylum and were released into what used to be peaceful European neighborhoods. This carried on for well over a decade, and instead of doing anything about it, they let the situation get out of control to the point that today we have over 750 no-go zones where French people can't go. French women get harassed or worse. And now they're acting like, oh, why is the world shifting towards this far right? Are these people stupid or what? This is why Marine Le Pen's RN party won about 32% of the vote in France. That's more than double what Macron's allies managed to get, with the socialists just behind at 14%. It's clear that the political landscape is shifting. Sorry, I don't want to be the person to say I told you so. And guess what? Upon hearing this, the so-called champions of human rights, the self-righteous, virtue-signaling, humane leftists, started doing this. Yes, they are rioting in France. Look, these clowns know that the writing is on the wall. And if the whole of Europe turns to the hard right, the real far right would then be a real possibility. Who's responsible for that? These centrist, leftist or rightist parties. So anyway, the first round of these snap elections is set for 30th of June with the second round on 7th of July. This is a massive risk on Macron's part. He could be wiped out. Okay, look, credit where it's due. He could have ignored it and hoped that in 3 years when the next parliamentary elections were due, he would deal with it then. But instead, he said, I cannot act as if nothing had happened. I have decided to give you the choice. Therefore, I will dissolve the National Assembly tonight. So is Macron becoming overconfident? Well, Macron thinks that with the Paris Summer Olympics just around the corner, the French will make the right choice for their future. And by right, he obviously doesn't mean the political right. However, not everyone is convinced. Critics like, hang on a second, I wrote it down, Raphael Glucksmann of the Socialist Party and Valérie Pécresse of the conservative Les Républicains party have voiced their concerns. Sorry, yes, it's French. I don't know, I'm just butchering it. Just work with me. They argue that dissolving the assembly without time for proper campaigning is risky and could lead to chaos, which I think it will for the status quo. Not that I don't want these hard right parties to win to bring some sanity back into France, but I can't help but see this as political suicide by Macron. It doesn't make sense to me. Also, just to clarify, this isn't to be confused with the French presidential elections which Macron won in 2022. These are parliamentary elections which focus on legislation and electing deputies to the National Assembly. Macron's Renaissance Party currently holds 169 seats in the Assembly, while the RN Party has 88. If the hard right wins a majority, Macron could lose control over domestic policies. Although analysts believe that this is unlikely given that European elections often serve as a protest vote against the government. But your guess is as good as mine. Maybe that's what Macron is banking on. An RN victory could see Jordan Bardella as Prime Minister, but a more likely outcome might be an anti-hard right coalition between Macron's centrist and traditional right-wing Republicans, or even the left-wing socialists. Hang on a second. Mujtaba Rahman from Eurasia Group says it's a major gamble that could lead to more fragmentation and deadlock in French politics. So, there you have it. Macron's high-stakes move to dissolve the assembly and call for snap elections is set to redefine French politics. Will it pay off, or will it plunge France into further political turmoil? Stay tuned as I watch this drama unfold. Just a disclaimer, I'm not a fan of these hard-right politicians, but I do see them as a necessary force to compel these centrist parties to get their act together. There you have it. I'll be keeping an eye on these French elections as well as the UK general elections, and then, of course, the most important elections in the Western world, the United States. So keep liking and sharing my videos, and you can definitely support me on patreon.com/Harris Sultan or buymeacoffee.com/Harris Sultan. Until next time, ta-da. If you'd like to support my work, you can become my patron by going to patreon.com/Harris Sultan, or you can simply buy me a coffee.